Hi, my name is Crystal Nelson and I'm an ergonomist at Alter Ergo. Today I'll be talking to you about 3 tips that you can apply into your workday to improve your posture. The reason why I'm talking to you about this is because when I do my ergonomic assessments, one of the main things that people complain about is their posture and what they can do to improve of it. A lot of people don't feel confident with the posture that they have. So the first tip I want you to think about is to be mindful of your pelvis. So when you are seated or standing, your pelvis should be in a neutral position. So this means you should be able to stand upright. Imagine a ballerina where they have a little string pulling their head up. So you want to be a ballerina when you're standing. If you have your posture in a poor position, or maybe your pelvis is posteriorly tilted, you'd be in a posture like this. We want to avoid that because that puts more pressure on your hips and knees and your back. It's just not comfortable for your body to be in that position. You also want to avoid being in a position where your pelvis is anteriorly tilted. So maybe you'd be perched out like this. That puts a lot of strain on your back as well. So neutral position is the best position to be in. I also want you to be mindful of your position of your pelvis when you're seated. So when you're in an office chair, you want to use the full supports of the chair, resting your armrests so they're allowing your elbows to be at 90 to 100 degrees and your backrest fully supporting you. Sometimes you may find yourself on the edge of your chair like this. I call it perching. This is not a good position to be in because it can cause your pelvis to anteriorly tilt, and it's not healthy for your body to be in that position. So check out the height of your chair, make sure that's at the right setting as well, along with the seat pan to make sure it's not too long. If you scoot back in your chair, one of the main postures that I see people in are one of these postures, and that can cause your pelvis to posteriorly tilt. And most of the pressure is on an area of my back, which is not preferable. So the goal is to have your pelvis in a neutral position, scoot all the way back in your chair, and make sure that your chair is fully supporting you as well at your back. The second thing I want you to be mindful of is the size of your computer monitor. So a single monitor should be approximately 27 inches. If you're using 2 monitors, then 2 monitors are at 24 inches each. So if your monitors are too small, it can cause the font to be too small, and then you end up leaning forward and in that forward perched position. If your monitors are too big, sometimes it can force you to sit too far back, and then you can be in a slouched position. So keeping your monitors at the appropriate size of 27 inches for a single monitor and 24 inches for 2 monitors is ideal. Also check display settings to make sure that you are at the recommended magnification. So there's an option where you can increase the magnification of all items on your screen to greater than 100%. So standard magnification is at 100%. You can increase this up to 125, 150, 175%, and a little bit further than that as well, depending on the software that you're using. So magnifying the content, the images on your screen, that will force you to use the supports of your chair so you can maintain that upright posture. If you don't have the support from your chair, your body will fatigue and you'll end up slouching and being in a poor posture. The third thing to keep in mind is try not to maintain one position for too long. So you don't want to sit too long, you don't want to stand too long. Practice the rule of just getting up and moving about once per hour, or practicing the more advanced rule called the 28 and 2 rule. So this is where you stay seated for 20 minutes, you stand for 8 minutes if you have a height adjustable desk, and then you stretch and move about for 2 minutes after that. If you sit for too long, it does have negative health effects on your body, but same for standing. If you stand too long, that can also have some negative effects on your overall health as well. So some cues to keep in mind to figure out if you are standing too long or sitting too long is, number 1 is kind of fidgeting and starting to feel uncomfortable or becoming distracted. So if I'm sitting for too long, then my body would maybe be adjusting from side to side. I may be kicking my legs out, bringing them back, and just not really feeling comfortable in the position that I'm in. If I'm standing for too long, I may tend to lean on my desk to help me stand for a longer period of time, Or I may even get into a position where I lock my joints to help support me, where I use my skeletal system instead of my muscular system. So if I get tired of standing, I may lock my hips and be in this position, where you want to use your core muscles, your abdominal and your back muscles, to maintain that upright position and not depend on your skeletal system, because then we develop more problems after that. Applying these 3 rules into your work day is like applying a new habit into your life. It takes time. So give yourself a few weeks, 4 to 6 weeks, to implement the new habit of trying to be mindful of a neutral pelvis, trying to be mindful of how often you stand. So that can help you be successful in the future, where it does feel more natural to be into those positions. So implementing the new habits can help you create a much happier and healthier life. Feel free to follow and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That way you can follow along with all of our ergonomic tips and tricks that we have for you. Thanks for joining me.